Hey, Anton.
Yeah, Margaret?
You know people don't talk about enough?
What?
August and Simon both think they're better than the other. Welcome to People Don't Talk About Young Royals. I'm Margaret. My pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Anton. My pronouns are he, they.
And we're people here to discuss the show our friends are sick of hearing us talk about.
If that sounds like you, stick around. If your friend sent you this podcast out of a desperate attempt to get you to watch Young Royals, take this as a sign.
Go watch Young Royals, then come back to this podcast.
Margaret, what are we talking about today?
Today we will be having a plot discussion of Season 1, Episode 5, focusing on all other relationships that are not Wilhelm and Simon.
Woohoo! In this discussion, we won't be summarizing the plot of the episode because we already did that. If you need or want a refresher, head back 4 episodes in our feed to our most recent This Week at Alershka for a full breakdown. This episode discussion will likely be all over the place, so strap in. You've been warned.
Okie dokie.
Oh, well, usual pace for those who've listened to a Law Among Royals episode before. Just we're gonna loop through various relationships. Starting off with Alexander and the Society. It's a loose one, but we had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Despite the fact we don't see Alexander in this episode, but
Yeah, we do.
we hear about him.
We see him.
When do we see him?
He gets Wilhelm into the building of the society.
That's episode 4.
Oh, fuck. You're right.
No, you're good. We spent so long on episode 4. I have been running into the same problem.
God damn it.
It's good. I mean, you are not the one on this podcast known for being able to distinguish what happens in one episode.
That's
part of the reason why this Speak to Lershka exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hear about how Alexander was caught, and we hear about the fact that August went to Alexander, and they made a deal, but that they had to find a way. The deal is basically find a way for me to stay at the school, and I won't rat you guys out.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Alexander is betrayed.
He sure is.
By Wilhelm, ultimately.
Yeah.
For reasons that do ultimately come down to August's pettiness, but we'll get there.
Okay, but August's plan never would have worked anyways. Let's be so fucking for real.
I love how you're dying on this hill, and I respect it. And I think I
never would have
you.
fucking worked.
Yeah.
I don't know how, the Hilarska discipline system works. But I'm telling you right now, if you were at an American school, it doesn't matter who you blame for it. If you get caught with drugs, you're the one getting expelled.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care.
I mean, it does seem that the administration is questioning where the drugs came from.
Well, that's fine, but he would still be the one getting expelled. Potentially in addition to. It wouldn't keep him at the school.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the circumstances are shitty because he was literally he didn't take any of the drugs. He was just ferrying them somewhere to hide them poorly.
Yeah, but still, he was the one caught with the drugs, so he would be the one to get in trouble.
Yeah. Even
if the rest of the society was like, oh yeah, he was holding drugs for us, it'd be like, okay, great, now you're all expelled.
Yeah. That is fair. He was I will definitely I can definitely understand the perspective that he was more than likely fucked from the second that he was caught.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
I did high school sports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you're at a party where alcohol is involved, even if you are not consuming any alcohol, you could blow a 0.0 breathalyzer. You are still removed from the team.
Yeah.
Even if you had nothing to do with it and you were just there.
Yeah. And I know I keep being the one being like, it is like a complicated situation, which like I think it is. But something I think Wilhelm mentions that we would remiss to not bring up, and we might address this more in like a Wilhelm character episode, just in terms of the like grappling with fully like what is going down here, but also like he says his Alexander's parents should probably just send him to a school in Switzerland or something. Mm-hmm. And I think like rationally Alexander's gonna be fine. Like,
yeah.
And like that is like a like distinction that Wilhelm is unique in making among the society.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the society features multiple times in this episode, so we'll see where that goes. But it's like, I think it is key to remember we can feel bad for Alexander and also recognize how much of a support system he does have, being the
it sucks because
yeah,
he didn't do the drugs.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, he did grab them off the table to bring them somewhere. He could have just like
there is like an institution of shame and peer pressure and everything. I think I'm more focusing on like Alexander is still the son of a CEO. Like as much as he is very much.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be fine.
Yeah, like as it's a thing that like, and I think it's a statement about Halishka in the writing of the show and of the characters, that like the character who is like treated the worst is still like leagues richer than the Eriksons.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's treated like an errand boy.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
No, definitely. And it's, but like it and like I always found that really effective as like like we are told his parentage immediately in the first episode by August, in a way that is clearly meant to be like, whatever. Like,
yeah, just because he's new money,
right? So the same reason why Nils is not at the society seat, and like the why people are also talking down at him. Like it's like that is like an interesting facet of Haleshka, and at the same time, it still doesn't negate like Alexander will be fine, and that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Wilhelm and the society is next thing.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm curious. Like, how do you read his relationship with the society at this point? Like,
so you know somebody who's in a pyramid scheme and is fully aware that what they're doing is a pyramid scheme? For our listeners that don't know what a pyramid scheme, it's also known as a multi-level marketing thing. I don't know what the last word of that
I think it is also a scheme. Yeah.
A multi-level marketing scheme where like you get brought in at really low levels and then your job is to like recruit more people. It's sort of like a business cult.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's like a middle level of this this pyramid scheme, fully aware that it's stay with me. I'm not an English major.
I'm with you.
I think he's like a middle level of this pyramid scheme. He's fully aware it's a pyramid scheme. He's not really drinking the juice, but he's sort of going along with it. Because in my heart of hearts, I don't think Wilhelm thinks he's better than everybody.
No.
Which I think he would have to if he was really buying into the society.
Yeah, I do read a certain reluctance. I mean, we know enough about Wilhelm as an audience member at this point, and we know his discomfort with being a royal. Like, that's well established, like, scene 2 of the pilot.
Yeah.
So, like, a society that, like, values that in a way that he has like been raised to, but like it's just not, these things just truly don't come naturally in a way that like he recognizes it as an honor. I think like there is enough of a buy-in to recognize that all these other people are really taking it seriously, so I should too.
Mm-hmm.
But I would agree, like, personal investment is where the discrepancy is. Mm-hmm. Like, that, like, whether, like, he himself, like, wants to be a part of it, or, like, if he would choose it, if it wasn't just by circumstance, like, you're invited, and, like, I can't really say no.
Yeah, like, I think if August was like, hey, man, you want to be part of this society? He'd be like, excuse me? But I also get the mentality a bit that he's like, I mean, I'm already here.
Right. And which is I think why that's where we find out at the start of this episode. And I think that does make the whole thing like just really suck. Like this, like, day after he has joined this society, they are immediately pulling him down, and like the source of like 95% of his stress in this episode,
at least.
And I think the panic he undergoes in this episode is so real, where he's like, this can't come out. like
yeah,
like you don't understand. And like, I don't know, transitioning kind of I guess this is more of a Wilhelm August thing, so we'll get there, I guess. But like, going from there to the moment we keep talking about, because it is, I think, really important, which is the moment like Wilhelm, as we've been saying, like becomes the crown prince and like exerts some level of authority, recognizing how it will play.
Yeah.
Like, and like, it's foreshadowed and like described by August in the previous episode, like in the society, like all like the party scene, the society initiation. Like August is like, the thing we all have in common is we would do anything for the royal family.
Yeah.
And so, like, he hands that to Wilhelm for Wilhelm to then pick up and just flip it around, being like,
prove it.
Oh, like, I understand how, like, despite this lack of, like, he starts the episode with, like, a pretty, strong lack of investment, but it's also, like, eventually he's like, I also still know how power works. And I am going to, in this instance, use it to my advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
for sure,
I think makes the moment of August, like, kind of, if we want to transition to Wilhelm in August, like, it makes the moment of August being like, I think it's August. He was like, yeah, none of us can get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
In the first time when a lot of society is on the picnic table, like,
yeah,
that's an interesting moment that, like, it's one of the ones that passes you by, but it is given new context when we as the audience know what August knows about Wilhelm and Simon, because it's like this little thing that I think links all the way to the line, what kind of thing do you think Wilhelm will make? Yeah. Because it's this, like, bit of, like, insecurity, if you know what I mean, where you get this person who's like, where Wilhelm is, like, rightly freaking out that is like, I, as the crown prince, cannot be involved in this scandal.
Right.
And then August has to have that little jab of, like, yet again, like, kind of like bringing them to the same level, but in a way that does feel more antagonistic than it had in past episodes.
Yeah, I also think it's really funny how he thinks that him, like, Vincent, and whoever the fuck the other society members are that I can't remember at this exact moment, getting in trouble would have anywhere near the same ramifications as Wilhelm getting in trouble for having drugs on school property.
And the thing is, I don't know if he believes it.
Like, just the fact that he says it like it would is outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like August BS's a lot, but it's like he says some stuff. He says stuff for a rhetorical point sometimes, and he's trying to like vie for power. And I think it is interesting that this is the episode where August's jealousy of Wilhelm becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Because I maintain what we keep saying. Like, I at various times, I think we were like, Wilhelm doesn't care about August in the way that August cares about Wilhelm.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's an isolated incident. Like, it doesn't. I mean, we see from the Wilhelm's actions at the end of the episode, like, it didn't mean that, like, he stopped, like, caring about August or, like, seeing him as, like, a family member who does need help, even if I am going to, like, do this for this person I care about.
Yeah.
But it is this moment of August taking aim at something Wilhelm cares about and taking this dynamic that August, for the most part, like, imagined in his head, and then Wilhelm makes it real because he's like, well, yes, like, I am a threat, and you should be scared.
Yeah.
And then also Wilhelm immediately regrets that decision too.
Yeah, which he makes right. When is a single time that August has ever made something right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like it is, I think, it's the devastating part of this episode where it's like every effort is made to show that, like, Wilhelm is doing what he's doing as a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, August just proportionally is just, like, stepping, like, miles over the line.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about how August's actions in this episode were outrageous until we're blue in the face.
And we can save it for his character episode
we absolutely can, and we absolutely should. There is a, like, advanced math level calculation to every single one of his actions in this episode.
Yeah, he's thinking on multiple levels.
Yeah, he's doing some 3D geometry.
Yeah, and I don't know, small mention of August and the society. Like, I think he really is, like, does he be, like, the unquestioned leader?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I come back to seeing that, like, August holds all this weight as a person who is related to the royal family, but not in the royal family.
Mm-hmm.
And then the usurpation by an actual royal.
Yeah.
Comes as a shock. Like, his hubris really knows no bounds. Like, he believed that being 2 years older was going to mean that everyone was just going to fall in line. And I think it does show the degree to which he is falling apart, because it is just wildly irrational behavior.
Oh, yeah. I do want to pose a question.
Yeah.
Do you think he's been the leader of the society since Eric left school?
I mean,
because there's no way that he was the oldest member when Eric left, unless he was the second, like, because I don't think the timeline of when Eric and August were at school together is ever like explicitly spelled out. But in my head, it's like Eric was a third year, August was a first year situation.
It is. I mean, I think
it's implied.
Well, it is actually directly stated.
Oh, is it? Was I right?
Yeah, you're correct. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Well, it was one of the things that we actually. I mean, slight thing. We said it on the podcast and like predicted it before season 3 came out and confirmed it.
Oh, so it just hasn't happened yet in podcast realm.
Right. Yes.
Okay, that's why I couldn't remember it.
No, yeah, but like we read between the lines of the first few episodes and like imagined that was the case, and then there's bits of dialogue directly in season 3 that directly are like, yes, Eric was a third year when August was first year. So
I remember the dialogue now.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And so there is I have sometimes thought about like there must have been like a nebulous period where like August, like there was a period when August was a second year and the person from whom he gained the most status was gone. But presumably like from what is implied at the start of the show, like that was his second year was his like rise to power year.
Yeah.
Like he presumably gained enough clout to be named prefect by the start of his third year.
Yeah, I just like I want to know because during his second year, in my head, he was probably also the leader of the society. But that would have to mean that there was third years theoretically in the society that he like had power over. But in my head, I don't think it would just be passed down to like the next oldest. I think it'd be passed down to the person with like the most power, because that seems like something that a group built on old money wealth would do.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, if that were to be true, then that does give extra meaning to the how much longer will you be a member line, which like I mean it was that was already there. I mean this is a society for noble and firstborn males. If you lose all of the like if you are ultimately like forced to sell all of the parts of your what amounts to your title and makes you nobility, that it's like but I guess they are debating in the party scene in episode 4 like how much land everyone owns and stuff like that. So it's like, and like,
which I can't think of a lamer conversation to have at a party.
Yeah, it is really fun to clown on them for that. But I think I kind of see it as more of a de facto position because like it's never named outright that he is.
Yeah, I think
leader.
Everybody's just accepted it, which is also part of why I think it was probably that way for a while. Otherwise, I don't know that everybody would have fallen in line so.
I mean,
cleanly.
I don't know. It could be a thing where it's like, in like, fair amount of clubs I've been in, some clubs I've been in, like where like the previous like leader is like takes a part in naming the next person, and like I think I can still see a second year being a time when he is like rising up through the ranks, and by the end of his second year, he is in a position for someone for whoever Eric passed it down to be like, oh, August is the obvious next choice.
Yeah, I guess.
Because like a key distinction that I think can get lost is that like we are a month into the school year at the start of the show, and so we have had a time for August to like be comfortable in his position. Yeah, it's true. But August and Simon, this would lead to your cold open, I suppose.
My cold open. Okay. This was a hot take that I had this morning.
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty good. And I stand by it, I think. I think that both August and Simon think they're better than the other. August, because he has this, like, false, I'm so rich, I'm better than you because I'm upper class, even though he is broke and desperately needs to sell off what gives him net worth.
Mm-hmm.
Which we've talked about in a float whether that would even be possible, but that's sort of besides the point. And then Simon thinks he's better because he's taking this, like, moral high ground.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks, because he's having August sell the drugs because August owes him money. So that leaves him, like, clean and not in any wrong. And I think that he may realize that what he's doing is wrong. And I think that when he does is in the music room, which I think is why he gets so defensive about it.
Yeah.
But I still think that he thinks what he's doing is better than what August did.
Yeah. I don't know. We talked about this pretty extensively last cycle. I can't get away from Simon being in survivor mode, and like it's like, but it's also just like, I don't know. I can see him being defensive when these actions that, like, I don't know. It's like these actions are bad, but, like, circumstances are such that, like, it's like there are a lot of choices that went into this that we have covered pretty extensively. It's like ultimately, like, such a mess that I, like, ultimately August is the one who approached Simon first, and, like, it would have never been an issue if Simon hadn't been targeted by August. If we're going,
I think that
back
that exact statement might be something that Simon uses to rationalize what he's doing into saying it's not that bad because I wouldn't have ever done it if not directly asked.
Fair.
And I think that my point and your point can be occurring at the same time.
That's fair.
Where, like, yes, he's in survivor mode, but I think he thinks what he is doing is right, and I think August thinks that what he is doing is right.
Yeah.
And they both think that they are more correct than the other.
Yeah. And, I don't know, I think, especially when it comes to August's mindset around Simon, like, it is very easy to see the way August is, like, not only is, like, Simon, like, at least I can frame Simon as, like, disposable. He's also like, my biggest problem can go away if I can just, like, pin this guy for this.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like August and Simon never interact directly in this episode, but it is very, like, this is very like, there's a lot of, like, political maneuvering in this episode that, like, is that can sometimes be lost in the lot. Well, it's like you don't feel like we don't always frame it as that, but it's like it's very who is doing what.
Oh, for sure.
But August's he's really become fixated on this video.
Yeah. Everything he does is revolving around it.
Yeah. And so, like, he seems fairly detached from his friends in this episode.
Yeah.
Like, he is really isolating himself. Like, which, like, I mean, this entire episode is a deconstruction of the circumstances that lead to August releasing the video. So it's like, add another thing to the pile of making this, of course, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because especially this, like, what am I gonna do with this information becomes it like it consumes him, so that when the inevitable happens and the institution turns on him, like, he has no one to turn to, or he turns to no one to, like,
right,
like, he just starts working out and screaming. Like, it's
yeah.
He really is just set up as the exact, like, I mean, he's the exact wrong person to have this information.
Oh yeah.
But I think it does come down to, like, I keep turning over that line, like, what kind of king do you think Wilhelm will be? And I think really turning over the, like, they're incredibly dark thoughts. It's like, but, like, you can see within that, like, this question of, like, he doesn't take this seriously.
Right.
Like, he doesn't recognize what's at stake. And, like, that is underlying all of his interaction with Wilhelm.
Mm-hmm.
Of, like, yeah, of course, like, we're going to be, like, we would be in trouble too. Like, I think some part of him sees Wilhelm as careless, and it really, it's like, there's no way to spin it that isn't homophobic. Like, it's just quite plain.
Yeah, I mean, part of me does wonder if that scene where he says, what kind of king do you think Wilhelm is going to be, is sort of when he's deciding that he will do something with the video other than just, like, having it. I don't know if he plans on posting it until pretty much right before he goes to the computer, but, like, I also don't know that he doesn't at least contemplate sending it to Wilhelm for blackmail, or the crown for, I don't even know what he would think that would accomplish, but something.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess in that framework, the question would basically be like, the society coup is the thing that decides the degree to which he wants to fuck Wilhelm over.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really hard to get in August's head in those moments, to me.
Yeah.
Because
it's generally a place I don't want to be fair.
Yeah. As we often say, August Mines is a scary place to be.
Yeah, I'll leave that psyche alone.
Like, I see him thinking that people don't know Wilhelm, or, like, finding him to be, like, he's like recontextualizing Wilhelm in his head in a way that, like, I mean, his actions speaking for themselves, like, he clearly, I think, thinks that, like, this, it only decides that, like, Wilhelm isn't deserving of his title. And it's like really tracking how he gets there. Like, at a certain point, I can't, like, the logic can't make sense because it's not logical. It's just compounding irrationality based in overwhelming jealousy.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But we have 2 more August relationships to cover, and then we can move on. I have no idea what August thinks of Sara in this episode.
I don't either. And to be honest, really what I think the most impactful thing I could think of was the fact that Sara saw him at the computer when he posted the video.
Yeah.
She at the time does not know what he was doing. But then he sees her, and I think that moment when he realizes that somebody could have witnessed it is when he realizes, oh fuck, this was not the move. I don't think it was him actually doing it. I think it was like, somebody saw me.
Yeah, this could potentially have consequences.
Yeah, this could actually affect me, so now this isn't a good move.
Yeah. I think other side of the coin, Sara, she tells Felice about August kissing her. Like, absolutely the correct choice. We've
100%.
talked about this. I think that Sara, there's still a question mark in the air when you take the single scene that's so small of like being in Felice's room and taking a last picture and staring at it.
Yeah, big time.
Like it's so short. It has no dialogue, but like it adds a wrinkle to her later good deed that I think just like they kind of just let sit there.
Yeah. I do think hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch Zoe 101 as a kid?
Of course I did.
Okay. So I think that if this show came out in 2016 and was filmed Zoe 101 style, they would have played One Direction's Stockholm Syndrome during that scene. That's just how I feel. Because the idea of Sara and August really gives Stockholm Syndrome of like, you know, like you fall in love with your captor,
yeah.
But in this case, he didn't actually kidnap somebody.
Yeah, which like is a debunked psychological theory.
Yeah, but it's still, I'm still gonna use it.
Yeah.
I'm not a psychologist. I just see one.
Yeah.
Shout out to my therapist.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just gives such emotional manipulation that it just feels.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking around we're talking around the thing, but it's like Sara is. There's no way to interpret that other than like Sara isn't like then like Sara is considering something related to August, like we have been very clear, like that was assault. He asked for zero consent and then just kissed her multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see in this episode that like processing that intimacy is difficult. Like for her. Like understanding any sort of motivation behind it. Like, because we have the context for knowing how pointed and vindictive that was.
Right.
And Sara doesn't.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I mean, what does August say? Has anyone ever told you how pretty you are? Then kisses her. Like, in the way that it was framed and not looking for any sort of deeper, like, machinations behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, Felicia's boyfriend thinks I'm cute and he kissed me.
Yeah.
And, like, that was wrong. But she doesn't go the extra step of, like, that was wrong, period.
Yeah.
Gross. And I think that is something that, like, is again, just kind of left there and we will leave there. But,
right.
It does, it does give you a little, like, ooh,
Yeah. In all fairness to Sara, I don't know that she registers it as assault.
No, I don't think so.
Which doesn't change the fact.
Right.
But I don't, like, I think it then also lends to a different perspective of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where, like, I think if she was like, that wasn't cool, I didn't consent, that was assault, that would be period, end of sentence.
Right.
Instead of, but look at this picture of him. This is interesting. This is something to contemplate here.
There is, like, you have just enough information to know there might be a slightly romanticized view, understatement, of this interaction.
Right. Yeah.
In her head. So, but let's talk about August and release, and then leave August behind us.
Yeesh.
This is the episode where they're done. Mm-hmm. Hallelujah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we've talked about, like, they were a thing for an episode and a half, and that remains too long. Like, it
remains too long, and I also think it's the shortest relationship I've ever seen in a TV show.
It's so short and so,
but so much happened. You could have convinced me it was the whole season.
Yeah. But our little bow that we put on it is that she never loved him.
Yeah.
Duh. How long were they together? But that remains. She, like, I don't know. The one question I will leave for us, like, we've talked enough about the absolute slay of her, how she breaks up with him. But a thing we haven't addressed yet is Felice says that dating August isn't like she imagined it would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had this is partially informed by, like, multiple reactors questioning this too. I don't remember what I thought the first time, but there are multiple people being like, really? That's exactly how I thought it would be.
Yeah. I mean,
and I want to make sure we're framing this that isn't wildly, in a way that isn't wildly unfair to Felice, because we have, like, we have been clear about, like, the ways in which, like, we understand the thought process of how Felice got here, and the lack of self-esteem that would lead you to getting in this situation.
Oh, for sure. However, yeah. She found him insufferable for, like, the first two episodes. I don't really understand how she thinks that could 180, unless possibly she thought he was just, like, chasing her, and that's why he was so annoying.
Yeah,
and I mean, didn't look further into all of the awfulness.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't invest tons into this moment, that from what I remember. Episode 2, Frederica is like, sometimes love can change a person. Like, she does propose giving August a chance. And I mean, I think we kind of bypassed that because we are so firmly on Stella's side in that debate. Like,
yeah.
But, like, you see this moment of, like, Felice did have two competing frameworks with which to approach this concept.
Oh, for sure.
And, like, there is honestly just, like, there is a clear amount of hope invested at the end of episode 3 into, like, this working out.
Oh yeah, she definitely went in with a "I can fix him" mindset.
Like, or like, he will be different.
Yeah.
When I, like, give him what he wants. Like,
yeah.
And it,
which PSA doesn't work.
No, does not. And, like, I think it's a pretty textbook example of magical thinking.
Yeah.
No less real, no less understandable, but it is an instance where, like, she says she wasn't how she imagined it would be. Emphasis on imagined. Like,
yeah.
Like, we can sit here and take this objective point of view of, like, that was doomed from the second it happened.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, Felice is also 16 and had no way of, like, didn't have the tools to break that down.
I mean, yeah, didn't even have, like, the critical thinking.
Yeah.
To be like, maybe this isn't the move. Yeah.
I mean, especially considering, like, this episode is her first open rebellion against her mother. So it's
right.
Like, you can't escape what we have known, what we learned in episode 3, informing Felice's character about the ways in which her entire life has been framed around how can you get ahead, and what is the best way of maintaining and growing your social status.
Right. I also think we can't overlook the fact that August was a replacement for Wilhelm, so she probably wasn't even imagining dating August.
Yeah,
she was probably imagining Wilhelm in his place and being like, it'll be basically the same, right?
Yeah. Again, more examples of magical thinking.
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't know. I've been like skirting around it, but, like, I feel like Felice's friends in this episode, like Maddie Still and Frederick of it all, like, they're supportive of her, but a way that does seem to lack some perception. Like, I don't want to expecting them to, like, read her mind, and, like, I guess for all we know, they haven't known each other for very long.
Right.
But, like, Felice is clearly not enthusiastic about Lucia. And, like, when they're like, well, yeah, like, enough people voted for you, like, you didn't even put your name in, but, like, you still won anyways. Like, were they a part of that in any way? Like, it's...
Yeah.
Like, Felice has definitely made her position here at this school. But, like, this episode makes me question, like, how much of that really was, like, her decision, because things do kind of just, as we've, at least the way we've seen it in this episode, like, they just kind of seem to happen by virtue of who she is.
Yeah, a lot of things kind of happen to her.
Yeah.
Less than she goes out and
like,
tries to do things.
Like, her one main ambition was to, like, follow her mother's advice and, like, and to, like, get Wilhelm, and then that blows up in her face. And, like, along the way, like, she has, I don't know, I don't want to deprive her of agency entirely and be like, well, like, because, like, but it's also, like, I mean, part of the, like, idea of her as a character is, like, she is different from where you believe that she would, that, like the where like what like where like the like role in which you think she would slot into, because, like, she does at the end of the day sort of seem to be popular in part because, like, she's nice to people.
Yeah. This also sounds like something that should maybe be saved for a character episode.
Yes, very good point. Thank you. I think...
I mean, we kind of covered her mom.
Yeah. And I think talking about how this episode where Sara really truly gets integrated into Felice's friend group. And I think there is something to be said about how Felice, her word is kind of law in this friend group. And like, because Felice is the one to bring Sara in, Sara is just basically unambiguously accepted. And like, you get this strengthened friendship between Sara and Felice, like through like allying against August. And then this moment of Felice recognizing Sarah's actual desire to be Lucia, and then fulfilling it. It's a moment of like it is this moment of connection that does, I think, it's the thing that I think makes them best friends.
Yeah, I agree. I think they were good friends before this episode, but I think they're best friends because of the events of this episode. Yeah.
It's just this moment of humility on the part of Felice and like being recognized by Sara that it's just very it is a very sweet moment. I think we can it's honestly pretty uncomplicated. I think we can leave it there. Sara and Simon, at first I like started my notes being like, not a lot happens. I'm like, oh wait, the last 2 minutes. Because like we start with them being pretty like the same as they were and have been the past few episodes, and we do end with Sara at least seemingly feeling pretty betrayed. And the one thing I just want to note is that like I think it's interesting to me that Sarah's, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure like Simon's promise to not see Micah isn't elaborated on until the moment Sara says that he betrayed it.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I can't remember it talked about at any other point previously.
No, I don't think it was, but I think, I don't know. I think writing wise, I do think I would wish that had been foreshadowed a little bit earlier. But I can at least understand it as a thing of like, who would have known in order to like tell us this? Like, I think what that tells me is that Simon didn't tell anybody about that promise.
Yeah, like I doubt even his mother knew.
And it is presumably so unspoken that Sara just never brings it up over the natural course of like Micah reaching out.
Right.
And it's like because it's like enough there under the surface of it. She's like, why would he be reaching out to me? Of it being like so outrageous for her to think that like I get how it never came out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like the last bit we get of them in this episode. So like I don't know how much we can really talk about it, but it is
right.
Definitely I don't know. It is. I have conflicted feelings about that agreement ever being made in the first place. And then also, I get that, like, as flawed as it might have been, it still was just kind of. It was like, but it also was broken out of extenuating circumstances. So it's like, I don't even know.
I was gonna say I don't have conflicting emotions about how that was made, because I would also feel betrayed if my brother saw.
Yeah.
My father.
Fair.
Who was extraordinarily abusive to both of us, but
yeah,
took his anger out more on me.
Yeah.
So I would feel betrayed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell my brother that necessarily, but I would feel it.
No,
So,
yeah. No, yeah. That does make sense. Like I said, we can't get into it too much because it just happens. But like it is like the last like little bit of a knife twist on this relationship that like does. We've been at a pretty even kill with them every Love on Royals, and now it's like, well, who knows now.
yeah, and it's also, seconds before the video.
Yeah, seconds before
So
Simon's life
that,
is forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only is there that, but then there's also revenge child pornography going out into the world.
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure like favorite Young Royals reactions. Gay Watch making an appearance on this show again. I mean, I think if I remember right, like she often refers to it. I mean, in multiple things, but especially Young Royals reactions is like setting bombs to go off, and like when does the show detonate them? And it's and like this is an episode where I think the things just start. It goes crazy. So
yeah, sure does.
We're not really ending with much fanfare, but like Simon and the Society, they just don't care about him.
Yeah, and Simon, I don't know if he knows quote unquote the Society capital letters exists because it seems pretty secretive and on the down low. But he knows the group of boys that are being referenced to. And he hates them.
Yeah.
And so I think that they have this feeling that's very mutual.
Yeah. But I think I do think Society takes it like one step further.
Oh,
very
for sure.
Like very clearly being like this kid is expendable. Like he like, and I as I was finally finishing like typing these out, like 'cause this is the very bottom of my notes, I was like suddenly rushed back to the pilot of keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Like we talk about how like Simon like August is an exaggeration of a lot of Halishka's bullshit, but like it's also clearly there, and so you're like, well, Simon is the enemy to them, so like yeah might as well like yeah just like politics alone, they're just like, who is this loser, we hate that he goes here.
Like, they very much other him.
Yeah. Well,
on that note,
I'll
take us out.
Yeah.
That absolutely cheery note. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to keep up to date with when we release new episodes and other pod-related announcements, you can check out our Instagram or our threads at People Don't Talk About. Our next episode will be characters standing for Wilhelm. So with that... Oh, wait. Stay tuned. Yeah, what's up?
I just like crazy. First ever Love More Royals, that's one episode.
I know. That's bonkers.
Yeah.
And with that, all that's left to say is... Let's start a revolution, baby.